Some places don't need to be haunted to feel wrong, especially when the sun goes down. Last fall, I started jogging at night. There's a small public park behind my apartment in Columbus, quiet, poorly lit, and usually empty after 9 p.m. It was a little past 10 when I jogged past the gazebo near the center of the park. That's when I noticed her. A woman in a long gray coat sitting alone on the bench. Her back was to me, or at least I thought it was her back. Her head hung low. Her dark hair spilled forward, completely covering her face. She didn't move as I passed. I assumed she was just waiting for someone. Or maybe homeless. I didn't stop. The next night, same time, same route, she was there again. Same posture, same coat, same stillness. This time I slowed down. Something about her body looked wrong. Her shoulders sat too high. Her arms rested in an odd, bent angle. I stepped off the path and circled around the gazebo to see her from the front. That's when I realized she was already facing me. Her body was still turned away, but her head had rotated fully around, chin to spine, eyes locked on mine, unblinking. Her mouth hung open as if mid-scream, but no sound came. The rest of her body remained motionless, arms twisted backwards, legs folded beneath the coat like they didn't bend the right way. I ran. I didn't stop until I was inside my apartment with every light on. The next morning, I returned to the park in daylight. The gazebo was empty, but etched into the wooden bench right where she had been sitting were 6 words carved deep into the grain. Why did you turn around? I moved out 3 weeks later. I haven't gone near that park since. Two summers ago, I worked night shifts at a 24-hour gas station near a wooded park in rural Vermont. On my breaks, I'd sit in my car facing the playground across the street. It was usually empty after sunset. But one night around 2:30 a.m., I noticed something strange. The swing furthest from the streetlight was moving. Just one. Swaying gently forward and back like a child had just jumped off it. There was no wind. I stared at it for a while, waiting for it to slow down, but it didn't. I thought maybe an animal had bumped into it, or maybe a freak gust had hit only that one swing. I got out of my car to check. As I crossed the street, the air felt wrong. Not cold, just heavy, like I had walked into a room where something had just happened. I reached the swing and stood in front of it. It was still moving steady and slow. I grabbed the chains to stop it. It didn't stop. It kept swinging even with my hands holding both sides. I let go and stepped back. Then I heard the creaking. Not from the swing, from the slide behind me. I turned around. At the top of the slide was a figure, small, hunched, unmoving. It looked like a child, except the proportions were off. The arms were too long. The head drooped to one side. It didn't say anything. I blinked. It was gone. The swing behind me had stopped completely. I walked backward toward my car, not taking my eyes off the slide. When I got in and turned on the headlights, the figure was back this time at the base of the slide, facing away from me. I didn't move, just watched until the sun came up. The figure never turned. The park was empty again by daylight. That night, I parked behind the building, facing away. But through the security camera feed, I still saw the swing move. And this time, both of them were swinging. In 2019, I was visiting my cousin in Oregon. We were both into urban exploration, and one night he told me about a forgotten storm drain tunnel in a park just outside Eugene. It wasn't on any recent map, but he swore it used to connect to an old reservoir system beneath the hill. We grabbed flashlights and went around 11 p.m. The tunnel entrance was behind a collapsed fence at the far edge of the park. It was barely visible, overgrown with ivy covered in graffiti. We slid through the opening. The tunnel was narrow, brick-lined, and went straight for maybe 50 feet before curving sharply left. About a minute in the air started to feel wet and stale. The only sound was our footsteps and the slow drip of water from the ceiling. Then we saw the markings, scratches along the wall, deep ones. They weren't random. They were shaped like claw marks, but too symmetrical, repeating every few feet. I joked about raccoons, but neither of us laughed. We turned the corner and found a strange room wider than the tunnel, dome-shaped with rotting wooden beams supporting the ceiling. In the middle was a pit, maybe 4 feet across. There were no ladders, just blackness inside. My cousin leaned over the edge. "I think it goes down really far," he whispered. Then we both froze. Something breathed. It didn't echo. It didn't come from above. It came from below the pit. A long, slow inhale, like something enormous was sitting in the dark, listening. We turned to leave. That's when the flashlight flickered. Mine went out completely. My cousin's dimmed to a faint orange glow. I heard shuffling, soft, dragging movements on the wet floor behind us. He screamed and started running. I followed, nearly tripping on the uneven floor. The tunnel felt longer going back. Much longer. I could still hear something behind us moving slower but deliberately. Then just before the exit, I heard it stop. We burst out and didn't say a word until we were back in the car. The next day, we went back in daylight. The park was the same. But the fence was gone. No opening, no ivy, just solid concrete. I still have photos from the night we went in, but in all of them the tunnel entrance is missing. It's just brushed dirt and grass. In the summer of 2021, I took a weekend camping trip to a remote lakeside park in northern Minnesota. No cell service, no electricity past sunset. I pitched my tent near a narrow dirt trail that curved into the woods and ended at an old picnic clearing I'd found earlier that day. Everything felt peaceful until it didn't. Around 1 a.m., I stepped out to use the bathroom. I didn't want to wander too far, so I headed toward the trail, planning to duck behind a tree. That's when I saw someone, a tall man, walking slowly through the woods in my direction. He wore a sagging gray hoodie, and the way he moved was off. His legs didn't bend. He walked like he had sticks for bones, straight, stiff strides into the dirt. His head was craned unnaturally upward, like he was watching something in the trees. His arms dangled loosely. I ducked behind a trunk and waited for him to pass, assuming he was just some lost hiker or maybe sleepwalking. But he didn't pass. He stopped right on the trail, facing my tent now, head still tilted to the sky. I barely breathed. I couldn't see his face, just that pale skin under the hoodie, and how still he was, like something waiting for a signal. Then, without warning, he dropped to the ground. He didn't fall, he shifted. His knees never touched the dirt. He bent backward in a way no person should, then started crawling fast across the trail, not like a human crawl. His limbs jerked at angles, and he moved on his fingertips, scuttling straight toward the trees where I was hiding. I ran. I didn't look back. I dove into the tent, zipped it shut, killed the light, and pressed my hand over my mouth. Outside, I heard a faint brushing noise, fingertips sliding over nylon. It circled once, then again, then stopped completely. I didn't move for nearly an hour. When I woke up, the sun was already high. Everything looked normal. But outside the tent, the dirt told a different story. No shoe prints. No animal tracks. Just long handprints, deep and deliberate, with too many knuckles. They circled my tent and led off into the woods. No knees, no heels, just dragging fingertips and palms in a perfect arc. Back in 2020, I worked night security for the town's maintenance department. My shift started at 10 and ended around 6 a.m. Most of the job was boring check city buildings, lock park gates, write notes. But there was one place I never liked patrolling: Sandridge Grove. It wasn't the playground or the lake, or even the creaking old swing set. It was a single wooden bench at the far edge of the park. No lights near it, no view, just bolted into the pavement facing straight into the forest. Not along the trail, not toward the lake, just into the trees, dense, overgrown black even during the day. Nobody ever sat there. One night around 11:45 p.m. I pulled into the lot like usual and started walking the perimeter with my flashlight. When I passed the bench, I froze. Someone was sitting there. A man tall, wearing a black coat, facing the woods. He didn't move when I shined the light on him, just sat there perfectly still. I called out, "Park's closed, sir." No answer. I got closer, maybe 15 feet away. Still nothing. That's when I noticed something wrong. His chest wasn't moving. No rise, no fall. His hands were hanging at his sides, too long, almost reaching past his knees. The fingers were curled slightly, like they'd stiffened mid-grip. Then his head twitched. Not turned, twitched. A sudden jerking movement, like something yanked it sideways. My legs locked. I didn't breathe. And then, without standing, he slid off the bench. Not walked. Slid. Like something was pulling him backwards, just above the ground, into the trees. He vanished between the branches. No sound. No footsteps. I ran back to my truck and radioed it in. My supervisor told me to check the camera footage from the park lot. There was a security cam pointed in that direction, mounted to a utility pole. The next morning, I reviewed the clip with my boss. It showed my truck pulling in, me getting out, me walking the path with my flashlight. But the bench was empty, except for one moment at exactly 11:45:13 p.m. The footage glitched, static less than a second. When it came back, the bench was gone. Not just empty, gone. No wood, no legs, just 4 bolts still drilled into the cement, holding down nothing.